viewers, this is Bhavna Mehra. So today in the series of economics and current affairs, I will be discussing about central bank digital currency, that is CBDC. So let's start. As we all know that in digital payment innovation, India has made impressive progress. And the recent instances in this field are the introduction of first pilot in the digital rupee wholesale segment on 1st November 2022, and then the announcement of RBI to launch the first pilot for retail digital rupee on December 1st, 2022. But most importantly, the announcement of Government of India in the Union Budget for the launch of digital rupee, a central bank digital currency CBDC, placed in Parliament for financial year 2022-23 onwards on 1st February 2022. Therefore, this entire thing places India as one of the front runners to introduce CBDC. However, initially, the introduction of CBDC by RBI has raised several questions, as there was an understanding that central bank wanted to ban the practice of cryptocurrencies. So to understand this concept more, it is imperative to understand these two important questions, that what CBDC or e-rupees are and how it is different from a traditional currency, cryptocurrency and other things. Now the next question comes that what is CBDC? So on October 7th, the RBI has released a concept note on CBDC, that is Central Bank Digital Currency for India, wherein CBDC is defined as the legal tender issued by the central bank in a digital form. It is similar to sovereign paper currency but takes a different form, exchangeable at par with the existing currency, and shall be accepted as a medium of payment. So basically, CBDC is a digital or virtual currency but is not comparable to the private virtual currencies that have mushroomed over the last decade. But remember that it is freely convertible against the physical currency already in circulation, issued by the same central bank. And if we'll talk about the difference, then one of the major differences between CBDC and physical currency is that this e-rupee or CBDC will have an infinite life, as it cannot be damaged or lost in any physical form. Now moving ahead to the objectives of CBDC or objectives with the launch of CBDC, I have summarized the objectives in some points to make it more understandable. So first one is to provide an additional option to the currently available forms of money. So as we already know that we are having many, financial transaction platforms. So this is going to be one additional platform in this field. Now, next one is reduction in operational cost, which is usually with, physical cash management, which is more. So with this CBDC, it is going to be less. Definitely, the third one is nurturing financial inclusion. Moving ahead, it will be bringing buoyancy, efficiency and advancements in the entire payment system. And as we are in globalized world, so for enhancing innovation in cross-border payment space, and finally providing public with usage that any private virtual currencies can provide without the associated risks. Now, if we'll talk about the types of CBDC, so it is broadly divided into two types. So first one is general purpose or retail CBDC, and the second one is wholesale CBDC. So when we'll talk about these two, so retail CBDC would be potentially available for use by all. For an example, private sector, non-financial consumers and businesses, while wholesale CBDC designed for restricted access to selected financial institutions. Or in other words, we can say that wholesale CBDC is intended for the settlement of interbank transfers and related wholesale transactions, whereas retail CBDC is an electronic version of cash, primarily meant for retail transactions. So you can say that it is more peer to peer. It means customer to customer, or definitely peer to merchant kind of thing. Now let us know a little more about the developments, or the recent developments. Why I'm saying recent developments? Just because, you know, on 1st of November, government has taken first, or RBI has taken first decision, and then second announcement was for 1st of December. So let's discuss what are these. So the first pilot project in the digital rupee wholesale, as we have already discussed the types. So the first pilot project was on digital rupee wholesale segment. It was commenced on 1st November 2022. So the use of this pilot is the settlement of secondary market transactions in government securities, and this digital rupee wholesale is expected to make the interbank market more efficient. So if we'll talk about this pilot project a little more, then there are total 9 banks initially involved. Yes, 9 banks have been identified by RBI for the participation in the digital rupee wholesale pilot project, and which are, you can see those banks here: SBI, then Bank of Baroda, Union Bank of India, HDFC, ICICI, Kotak Mahindra Bank, Yes Bank, IDFC First Bank, HSBC Bank. So when this will be successful, in the another phase of the same project, wholesale transactions and cross-border payments will be the focus of future pilots, and whatever references or the results will be coming, that will work as the references for the next project. Now, second one is e-rupee retail. So the RBI has announced the launch of the first pilot for retail digital rupee on 1st December 2022. Yes, definitely after a gap of 1 month. So the pilot would cover selected locations, that is known as closed user group. Yes, that is CUG, comprising participating customers and merchants. It would be distributed through intermediaries, and intermediaries are the banks, definitely. And again, let's discuss how many banks are initially involved in that and all. So as there were 9 banks in digital rupee wholesale, here in digital rupee retail, 8 banks have been identified for phase-wise participation in this pilot. Again, this entire pilot is having 2 particular phases. So in first phase, or we can say the first phase will begin with 4 banks, and these 4 banks are here: SBI, ICICI, Yes Bank, and IDFC First Bank. And it is going to happen in 4 cities across the country, and these cities are Mumbai, New Delhi, Bangalore, and Bhubaneswar. And second phase, in the second phase, 4 more banks will be involved. That will be Bank of Baroda, Union Bank of India, HDFC Bank, and Kotak Mahindra Bank. And it will be covering 9 more cities, and these are Ahmedabad, Gangtok, Guwahati, Hyderabad, Indore, Kochi, Lucknow, Patna, and Shimla. Let's discuss a little more about it. So users will be able to transact with the e-rupee retail through digital wallet. And this digital wallet will be offered by the participating banks and stored on mobile phones or devices. And when we'll talk about transactions, so it can be both person to person and person to merchant, which I've already discussed earlier. Payments to merchant can be made using QR codes displayed at merchant location, as right now we are using that when we are using UPIs. And the e-rupee retail would offer features of physical cash like trust, safety, settlement, but as we get interest with our cash when it is deposited in the bank, it will not earn any kind of interest. Now Let's discuss how CBDC is different than cryptocurrency. Initially I've started with this controversy only because it was initially associated with that. So a cryptocurrency is a decentralized digital asset and a medium of exchange based on blockchain technology. But let me tell you, it has primarily been controversial due to decentralized nature of cryptocurrency, meaning its operation without any intermediary like bank, financial institutions, or central authority. On the contrary, CBDC, that is issued by definitely RBI, our central bank, and it is a legal tender in a digital form. Now, let's discuss the global scenario of CBDC. Let me tell you that across the globe, more than 60 central banks have expressed interest in CBDC, with a few implementations already under pilot across both retail as well as wholesale categories, and many others researching, testing, and launching their own CBDC framework. So now let's see the statistics related to CBDC. As of July 2022, there are 105 countries in the process of exploring CBDC, a number that covers 95% of GDP. Yes, 95% of global gross domestic product. So it's a good percentage, It means most of the countries are either believing or trying to believe on this concept. Now, 10 countries have already launched a CBDC. The first of which was the Bahamian Sand Dollar in 2020, and the latest was Jamaica's Zamdex. Currently, 17 other countries, including major economies like China and South Korea, are in the pilot stage and preparing for possible launches. And the most important fact related to CBDC is China was the first large economy to pilot a CBDC in April 2020, and it aims for widespread domestic use of the Chinese yen by 2023. So increasingly, CBDCs are being seen as a promising invention and as the next step in the evolutionary progression of sovereign currency. Let's discuss the statements in favor of CBDC. So let me tell you that different jurisdictions have justified the adoption of CBDC for very diverse reasons, and some of them are, mentioned here. When the paper currency is dwindling in any economy, then the central banks, they try to, make something very acceptable among the people or the citizen there. So the central banks seek to popularize a more acceptable electronic form of currency, especially countries like Sweden. This is the basic reason for countries like Sweden to accept CBDC. Now, second is jurisdiction with significant physical cash usage seeking to make issuance more efficient, like in the countries Denmark, Germany, Japan, or even the US. Third important reason, countries with geographical barriers. Yes, because it restricts the physical movement of cash and had the motivation to go for CBDC, and the best examples are the Bahamas and the Caribbean, with small and large number of islands spread out. And finally, central banks seek to meet the public need for digital currencies, manifested in the increasing use of private virtual currencies, and thereby avoid the more damaging consequences of such private currencies. So finally, you can say to meet the public needs, some countries are favoring CBDC. So now let's discuss the limitations and the way forward related to CBDC. But let me clear you here whichever limitations and the solutions I have written here, that is on the basis of Indian economy only, right? So according to that, I have written two limitations, that is internet connectivity and cyber attacks. So coming to the first one, in India, out of nearly 140 crore population, only 82.5 crore people have internet access. This means many Indians will not be able to use CBDCs due to connectivity problem. So to ensure widespread use of CBDC, offline capabilities need to be incorporated. And second is cyber attacks. Yes, so this ecosystem, that is CBDC ecosystem, may be at similar risk for cyber attacks as the current payment system are exposed to. So the cyber security considerations need to be taken care. So finally, we have reached to the conclusion related to CBDC. So CBDC is aimed to complement rather than replace current forms of money and is envisaged to provide an additional payment avenue to users rather than to replace the existing payment systems. And it is also supported by the state-of-the-art payment systems of India that are affordable, accessible, convenient, efficient, safe and secure. The digital rupee system will further strengthen India's digital economy. So, this is what I believe on the basis of my research related to this topic. Please write in the comment section your views related to CBDC. So finally, that's it for this video. I hope you have understood the concept of digital rupee. For more content like this, hit the subscribe button and do like the video. I will meet you soon. Till then, keep learning. This is Bhavna Mehra signing off.